Hello, this is Lawrence Romanosky, and this is the last installation of my BMW Alpina B7S Turbo restoration, and it's the last one because restoration's finished. So I found this car about 6 months ago in the fall of 2010, and I had known the owner, and he had told me about this rare Alpina, and he was going to sell it, and we never really connected. And then he consigned it to a friend of his who had a car lot, and I wound up running into him at a party, and he said, "Well, you really should, go buy my Alpina BMW. It's a really rare car." And so I went and I looked at the car, and I wasn't really sure what it was. And it had some issues. There was a few rust bubbles in the car, and it had been on the lot for a few months, and was looking a little bit sorry. And anyway, I put a deal together, and then I bought the car, and I still really wasn't sure what I had. He said it was a B7S Turbo, and it was a really rare car, and it was one of 30, but I didn't really know for sure, because of course it didn't look exactly like other B7Ss that I saw on the net, and it didn't have any documentation with it. Okay, so then I went through the process of finding all the numbers on the car, and contacting the factory, and joining the Alpina forums, and searching out all the different serial numbers, and talking to other Alpina owners, etc. And in fact, I did get a confirmation from the factory that it is one of 30 Alpina B7S Turbo Coupes that were made, and I have the factory build sheet, which includes all the options for the car. So during that time, Alpina would have come out with two special editions. There was a B7S sedan and a B7S coupe. They made 60 of the sedans and 30 of the coupes. They were all made the same, or at least supposedly all made the same. The sedans were all a dark blue color, and then for the seats they had a blue tartan cloth with a leather exterior. And the 30 B7S Turbo Coupes, they had the dark green metallic Alpina paint, and the Recaro seats with the green tartan interior. Part of what confused me about this car was that it didn't have tartan interior like the other ones. It had the full Recaro Ortho C seats, and had a full leather interior. So anyway, I did some more research, and found out that Alpina did put some of these top of the line $2,000 Recaro seats in some of their cars. And then when I got the build sheet, I found out that in fact this car had those from new. So the only other B7S cars that deviated from the standard fitment were a couple of anthracite gray cars that were made for reportedly made from members of the Quant family who owns BMW, and this car here, where it's the only one that anybody's ever heard of. And talking to all the guys on the Alpina forums, and really experts in the mark, this appears to be the only one ever fitted with a full leather interior and these Recaro top-of-the-line Ortho C seats. So that's kind of exciting. So not only is this car one of only 30 made, it's one of one with the leather interior. So this car is the only one like this in the world. Subsequently, other B7S Turbo Coupes have had different seats put in or been retrimmed in leather, either because the owner didn't like the tartan, or because the tartan wore out and there was no more tartan cloth. But this is the only one that has it from the factory. So Alpina, would have started out in the 60s tuning BMWs. I think the family firm made sewing machines or sewing machine parts, and the son started tuning BMWs. So there was a carburation kit for 1600s, and I think it really started to get going when they had the 2002s, and later the E9 2.8 and 3.0 cars. Alpina fielded BMW 2002 race cars, and they had great success with the E9, the previous generation coupe to this, and won the European Touring Car Championship with it, and some other prestigious races. So now, of course, you can go into the BMW dealer and buy an Alpina car, but back then they took a new BMW, gave it to Alpina, and Alpina did all the modifications to the car. Now Alpina supplies parts to the BMW factory and they install them on the production line. So Alpina would have, this is a 6 Series car, they call it an E24, and it would have come out in 1976 and it would have run to 1988, I believe. And there were 2 variations of the car, both based on the 5 Series. One was based on the E12 5 Series, one was based on the E28 5 Series, and the cutoff for that was in mid-1982. These last 30 cars, if you look at the serial numbers, were the last 30 body shells of the earlier E12 car before BMW switched to the E28. And they look very similar, but there's differences in the suspension and differences in the monocoque. And then with the engine, in North America, we only saw the 633s, the 630s and the 633s, but in Europe they had the 635 engine, and that 635 engine was the basis for the M1 supercar, and that had the same engine with a 4-valve head in it. Just remembering where the hood release is for this. Okay, so then, I can't remember, I put all this information on my website, www.vintageandsportscar.com, and with all the exact information and all the reference pages and links to other websites, etc. But basically there were 2 3.5 liter engines. This one, the earlier one, was a little bit bigger, the one that followed, and this again is the last of the original 3.5 liter engines, and this would have been the same engine that would have been in those Alpina E9 cars. They had a fancy cylinder head for racing and other racing modifications, but the same basic block was this 3.5 liter engine. After the facelift, they got a different 3.5 liter engine in it, and that was the engine that was found in the 635 when they introduced it post 1982. Okay, so this engine is quite different. It's a CIS injection engine, which is similar in concept to the Bosch L Jetronic, but this is made by Pierburg. So I don't know why they switched injection systems, because the CIS from Bosch works pretty well in other cars, including Porsche turbos, but I guess they had their reasons. So these cars had the CIS injections. Now, it's important that this car has never had any trouble with it, or at least doesn't now. And there's no signs of fuel leakage or other problems which have plagued other cars. Going back through the history of the vehicle, in the mid 90s, one of the specialists did some fuel system modifications to the car, and they did replace some of these components. So this car was the only one sent to North America originally, the only one sold to North America originally, and it was a Navy captain who wound up importing it. There was a few firms selling Alpinas in the US, keeping in mind this was the gray market era where many European cars weren't allowed in North America or in the US. Ferrari Boxers come to mind, and these cars, and the Porsche Turbo, which they took, I think 79 was the last year in the US, and they had to wait to 86 to reintroduce it. So there were a lot of firms that were importing these cars and federalizing them, and that federalization took the form of reinforcing the bumpers, and putting in different marker lights and fitting catalytic converters, etc., to get them to pass. So this was one of those cars. It came over, and there's a sticker somewhere here, and it says Dietel Enterprises Inc., and they were in LA, and they were the people that imported the car, and it gives a date of 582. So this chassis number came from the BMW factory in March of '82, and it was finished in May of 1982, and it's May now. So I guess that makes this car 29 years old, if my on-the-fly math is okay. It's having its birthday. Okay, so then Diehl would have imported the car, made some changes, etc., etc. I've reversed those changes. When I got this car, it had, and you can see this in the earlier videos where there was a couple little rust spots, etc. And when I actually got it and started looking through it, I think, well, I could touch up that area, and I could blow in some paint in that area, and I could refinish that panel, and I could do a little bit here. And there was some rust starting, not really rust, but there was chips on the underside of the fender arches, and there was some stone chips in the hood, and there was a little bit of rust caused by some moisture buildup in the window seal here, and there was a little bit of rust in this area, in this area here. And so by the time I was done, I thought, well, no, it's just easier to repaint the whole car. So I got into it and stripped off. Also, the car didn't have the correct rear spoiler. It had a BMW M spoiler, which only went to the edge of the trunk, whereas the full Alpina actually covers, it goes beyond the trunk lid. It didn't have the front spoiler, it didn't have the rear spoiler. It had indicator lights. These strips were modified, and there was a big side marker light and a big hole in the car to accommodate those lights. And I got into it and just decided to take it all apart, take all the glass out, take all the trim off, just basically disassemble the body. And again, you can see this in the earlier videos. And I gave I stripped the interior out, and I gave the bare shell to Walter at Continental in Calgary here, who I felt was the best person for the job, and he did a great job on the car. Also, when I got into the car, I found out that there was basically the rear parcel shelf was butchered, and I didn't see it because it had I didn't notice it before because it had the parcel shelf there, but underneath it was all cut away, and it looks like somebody tried to put like the world's biggest stereo in there. And that was a major job, because to do it properly, what I needed to do was get another parcel shelf, cut out parts of it and weld it in, and it was a sandwich type. There was two pieces of metal in a sandwich, so it was all done properly, and I documented it all and photographed everything, and the car basically looks like new underneath all that. But that was a lot of work. So anyway, I disassembled the car and I got it stripped, and then I bought basically all new trim, all new rubber. I bought new door sills. There was some wind noise in the car, so the door rubber seal and the body rubber seal and the chrome strips and the different connectors and the front windshield and the chrome strip for that, etc. All the rubber basically and all the chrome is new on the car, and it looks like a new car. I don't think you can reasonably fault it.